You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the August 10th meeting of the Michigan City Board of Cemetery Trustees. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Michigan City Board of Cemetery Trustees to order this 10th day of August 2023. Roxanne, would you please call the roll?
Bernadette Demke. Here. Stephen Janis.
Here.
Renee Bauer.
Here.
Marianne Milzarek.
Here.
Carolyn Miller. Here. Davis Bush.
Here.
And Virginia Keating.
Here. Everyone's present. We have a quorum. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes of the July 13th, 2023 meeting. Has everybody gotten a copy of those? Because they had to go out for the mail this time.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. And are there any changes, corrections, anything like that? Hearing none, then do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All those all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item is the financial reports, Horizon Bank. We present.
Thank you. Before I address the financial report, if you'll recall, at your last meeting, your board authorized and directed us to, that is to say, directed Horizon Bank to invest $50,000 from the extension fund into a 6-month CD at the best available rate. And furthermore, Horizon Bank received direction from your board to invest $60,000 from the money market balance into a 6-month CD at best available rate, and to redeem the Modern Bank $50,000 CD and buy a $50,000 2-year CD at the best available rate. And we actually need to have, Horizon Bank needs to have one of your members who's authorized to sign for the board, sign the direction forms that would authorize and direct us to carry forward with those actions. So with someone, okay, if you would please sign those, and then I'll deliver the financial report.
Okay, guys. I still remember my name.
Thank you very much. Wow. All right, with respect to the financial report, if you'll turn to page 1 of that report, you'll see at the top of the summary, with regard to the permanent maintenance Greenwood account, the account was up by 0.24% for the month and 1.63% year to date. The next account listed on that page is the permanent maintenance Swan Lake account. That account was up 0.25% for the month and up 1.75% year to date. With reference to the extension fund account, the account was up 0.25% for the month and up 1.79% year to date. And with regard to the merchandise commissions fund account, the account was up 0.30% for the month and up 2.30% year to date. Referring now to page 2. With regard to the account details, in the permanent maintenance Greenwood account, the money market is currently yielding 5.21%, which is up from last month's yield of 5.13%. Mutual funds overall yield is at 2.89%, which is essentially flat from last month's 2.90%. And the overall yield in the account is 3.25%, which again is essentially flat from last month's yield of 3.26%. I'm sorry. On page 3, is a permanent maintenance Swan Lake account. Mutual funds overall yield is 3.01%, which is up from last month's yield of 3.00%. And the overall yield in the account is 3.84%, which is up from last month's 3.60%. Turning to page 4, the extension fund. The mutual fund's overall yield is at 3.04%, which is up from last month's yield of 3.03%, and the overall yield in the account is 3.60%, which is up from last month's yield of 3.58%. Page 5, the last account is the merchandise fund. Mutual funds overall yield is at 3.00%, which is flat from last month's yield, of course, at 3.00%. And the overall yield in the account is at 4.80%, which is up from last month's yield of 4.70%. And finally, before I pass the baton over to my colleague Brad for his comments with respect to the overall market, I would like to share with you that the president of Horizon Private Wealth Management, John Richards, would very much like to attend and be present with Brad and I at your next monthly meeting to introduce himself to you and to meet all of you and take just a few minutes to talk a little bit about some changes that are occurring at Horizon Private Wealth Management and some changes that may be occurring with regard to our reporting procedures. So, having shared that with you, I now do, in fact, pass the call over to Brad.
Thank you. So yesterday, or this week, we had the CPI number that came out, and it does show that inflation does continue to cool off. The CPI was up 0.2% month over month and 3.2% year over year. That marks the smallest back-to-back gains of CPI in more than 2 years. So it shows that inflation is cooling off, but there's still work to do to get down to that 2% target that the Fed has mandated. Fed officials seem to be a little divided as to whether they do need to increase the Fed funds rate again this year. Right now, the expectation is that they will pause in September, and that meeting is September 19th and 20th. So we would expect them not to raise rates in September, but it doesn't take off the table a possibility of them raising rates maybe one more time this year. So it's you kind of see some disagreement among the Fed members of the Fed in that respect. Some of the Fed members feel like if they pause and don't raise again this year, they can risk inflation re-accelerating, and they don't want to do that. They don't want to keep stopping and starting. They want to make sure they get a hold of inflation, get it under control before they completely pause or even cut rates. As of right now, we don't see any rate cuts on the horizon, and actually, several of the top economists from J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs have actually completely scrapped their recession calls. So they are very optimistic about the economy avoiding a recession. There are still, however, a large number of Wall Street firms that have not taken a recession off the table. So it's not like it's a unanimous opinion that we're going to completely avoid a recession. So we will definitely keep a close eye on the Fed over the next couple meetings here. Keep an eye on the CPI data, the jobs reports, and see if inflation is indeed coming down towards that 2% target that the Fed has set out in their policy. As Aaron mentioned, the last meeting we talked about those getting some higher yielding CDs in the account. We did that. We got a couple of 6-month CDs yielding 5.25, and then we got a 2-year CD at 5.6. So that's a pretty nice rate, especially when you think where we came from a couple of years ago. So both of those, all those over 5%. So that'll help, with the income that comes into the account accounts as well. So That's all I had. If there's any questions, I can field those.
Anyone? I don't have any questions. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm hopeful your next meeting doesn't give us bad news and say you're not going to be here anymore.
Oh, no, I hope not.
We would miss you. Okay, moving on to the internal financial reports. Actually, we've got a really great financial report this month. The receipts for Greenwood were $21,712.57. Disbursements, $25,225.26. So our loss is only $3,512.69. I'm pleased to see that. And likewise, Swan Lake was $21,162.42 received, $19,420.26 dispersed, for a positive figure of $1,742.16. So overall, it was the best month we've seen in a long time. So I'm glad to see that. Do I have any questions or comments about any of these things? If not, I need a motion to approve the financial reports.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is superintendent's reading of the bills.
Current electric, 1,000.
49.
49? Actually, all I got is 1,000. $1,049.60. Water and sewage, $28.32. J. Thomas, repair parts, $610.87. Cable and Ace Hardware, miscellaneous repair parts, $133.14. Matthews International, $9,199.81. Coons, reimbursement, $515. Meyer Glass, $925.25. Michigan City Auto, repair parts, $168.68. NIPSCO, $510.98. Coastal Valley, water, $33.99. Republic Dumpster, $119.97. Permanent maintenance receipts, total of $1,009.50. Greenwood at $200. Swan Lake at $809.50. Extension fund receipts, $3,340. Merchandise receipts, $7,755.28, for a total of $12,104.78. And those are the reading of the bills, Madam President.
Thank you. Are there any comments? Any questions? And do I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, then I call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, moving on now to the unfinished business pending items list. I have made additions to the list, so what you received from Roxanne is incomplete because we weren't able to communicate with your telephones being down. The first item is the Waterford employees. How's that going?
You're gonna steal my stuff here.
That's all right, I'm just doing all your stuff, your report.
The water has been purchased. They have a cooler. That's what the price of that was. It's a rental each month. Mr. Rolfe is going to try and get it so we can just pay it once a year instead of
That'd be
doing
nice.
it each month. But they have a water. They have a cooler, and the water is out there now for, what would you say, 3 weeks or so?
Good,
Okay.
good. What was the reaction from your employees? Did you get any reaction?
Ask her. I wasn't there.
No feedback?
Mm-mm.
No.
That's disappointing.
So we'll take the cooler out.
That's right. That's exactly right. Little teacher.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, the next is the tools. What are we doing with that?
Okay, I purchased a set of tools. They included sockets, metric and regular, wrenches, open end, other assorted tools, and in a tool chest. And they're Craftsman tools. They're guaranteed for life. The chest is guaranteed for a year. It's like almost a 200-piece set of tools. Got that for Swan Lake. They didn't have another one of those at Cablin's at the time, so we'll be holding off on Greenwoods at a later date.
Okay.
But Swan Lake has one.
Okay, all right. Talk to me about the lights at Serenity Mausoleum. How's that?
They installed the new LED lights, and I changed the timer. They're coming on at 7:30. They go off at 5:30 in the morning. Other than that, everything seems to be okay.
Okay, did we do that at the other mausoleum? Or?
Not yet, no, not yet.
We talked last time about public comment, whether we wanted to just keep everything the way it is, just memorializing that in our minutes that we're keeping everything the way it is, or making changes and adopting a policy. I don't know that there's any real difference, I suppose, but I just want to make sure that if we remain, as we have been, with not having public comment, that we memorialize it, because it's probably been 20 years since this was discussed before the board, and I just think we ought to do it now. So if anyone has any comments, or if you want to just chime in and tell me whether you want to just stay the way we are, or adopt that resolution that I gave you last time.
I think we should just stay the way it is.
Okay, anyone else?
As long as there's a time limit.
We don't
public
allow,
comment.
we don't have public comment.
Oh, we don't? That's what they're doing? Oh, I read the wrong one then.
What we're doing is basically, if somebody wants to deal with us, they get on our agenda. That's how we've been handling it. So it seems to be working. I just want to make sure that we put that in the minutes so we've got that
Okay.
down, okay? So you want to vote on it? Motion
To vote it.
Motion to either change or keep it the same.
I think we should keep it the same.
The same.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Okay, then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Do we have a
Motion
second?
carries.
Second?
Yeah, we did get a
Yeah, we
second.
get a second.
Oh.
One of us.
Yeah, I
okay,
made the
Steve.
motion, he seconded it.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that, I'm sorry.
I'm glad that that's
Okay.
the decision. I think that was the right one. Granted in the chapel of the chimes. Am I stealing that from you as well?
I've talked to several different contractors. Your people called, but they never showed up.
Okay,
If you want to give them a call again.
I can.
I've talked to a gentleman whose name was John Housley. He used to do granite, not granite, but he would make stuff that look like granite. He's got several markers at St. Stan, Greenwood, and Swan Lake in the Serenity section. But he has since retired. And I've called the company. Right now, it's just one of these things that we're still working on.
Okay, all right, well,
Yep,
just keep
so
us
don't forget
informed.
treatment.
Oh, I'll get him. I'll be in their face.
I'm gonna have to make some changes in committee assignments because I didn't have you on a committee, so we're gonna I'll look at that and I'll send everybody a list of what is open and what possibly you might wanna do. Did you have any, communication about this, resolution that's before the city council?
No.
Okay, there's a resolution before the city council. It pertains to the ATVs.
Oh, yeah.
And it should be before them at their next meeting. Basically, we had gotten approval we talked about this last meeting, we got approval for a truck, decided that that really wasn't what we needed. We needed 2 ATVs instead, and so that's before the city council. They have to approve the change, so we'll see what they do with it. I probably won't know anything for a couple meetings, 2 or 3 meetings.
This resolution should be done Tuesday.
You think so?
Mhm.
Well, sometimes they pay for it. Yeah,
Unless
sometimes see.
Unless it's because of
Paul or anything,
Yeah. We'll see, okay. Let's see, equipment problems, did you have some equipment problems at the cemeteries, or is everything working?
everything's working.
Good.
I'm aware of.
I just wanna make sure.
I thought,
Okay, and basically, that's all for the unfinished business pending items list. Do you wanna give us a report?
my report's done because she took everything. Oh, no.
Oh, come on now.
We had the gentleman from the door company at the mausoleum, the new mausoleum. They were there this week. They put new hinges on. They put a new threshold on. I was out there. It seems to be working okay. I will now call our locksmith guy, and he will key the door so that we can get some keys made, and we'll put a little sign on the door. Anybody wanting a key will have to stop at the office so that they can have admission at any time during daylight hours. And we will use the same rules that we use at our old mausoleum. You can come in from sunup to sundown every day of the year. When you leave, make sure the door is locked behind you because it's got a safety push door on it. It's just going to be the same. It's been what it's been. I'll have him come out and key the doors, and then we'll get keys, like I said, a sign put up. Okay, Mrs. DeRolf and I will be we had met with the mayor, the controller, the assistant controller, and the assistant controller about the 2024 budget a couple weeks ago here in this room, going over what they're going to try and get, what our budget was, how much money we have in our different accounts. We also will be meeting with the City Council Finance Committee upcoming in about a week or so for the 2024 budget. Everybody knows this, I think. Computers were down for about a week and a half at both cemeteries. The phones were down at Greenwood and off and on at Swan Lake, about the same amount of time. We finally got everything back up and running as of yesterday, Wednesday, August 8th. On a better note, we've been on some big people's minds here. Greenwood has been cut since the last meeting once a week with the riding wars. It has been, they go through it once a week. Now, you cannot string trim 36 sections in 2 days or in a week. It takes about 3 weeks, about 3 weeks to 4 weeks to string trim the cemetery. So they got a little bit behind. We had all that rain. We had a gentleman that was off for a family funeral leave. We had another gentleman that's been off because he has a problem and he's been off with the doctor a couple times. So we did get a little bit behind, but we have caught up to the point where we were. So everything that was long has now been cut down. It's looking pretty good. Greenwood has been cut. The office has been detailed. The sidewalk, everything, all the circles are detailed. Swan Lake is the same way. It's been all trimmed and cut. They keep the veterans area section in Swan Lake trimmed around and everything. I know that this doesn't concern anybody here, but I'm going to bring it up anyways. The company we deal with, Matthews, I don't know, they're bronze. We're running short on our granite. In fact, most of our granite's out, and we ordered it back in April. I talked to our sales rep today, who in turn called the home office in Pittsburgh. Right now, granite is out until December 21st of this year. Mm-hmm. I have called several other companies during the COVID deal. I could not get in with anybody else because they were not taking new customers. I have a couple more I'm going to look into and see about getting, but right now our granite is out until December. Now they may sneak in a little bit earlier, but right now we're out there. So if you get any complaints from anybody about their markers not being put out, that is the reason why. We just cannot get the granite for the foundations at Swan Lake at the present time.
I'm glad you brought that up to make that public statement. Are there any board comments or questions for Mark?
In regards to the budget, has there been any discussion on raises?
The only thing I know is what I hear is the 6%, but that hasn't gone before the council yet, so I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, that's a pipe dream of some, and I personally don't think it'll go through the council, but that's just me.
Okay.
I'd like to say something. I don't know how long it took you people to dig all that out around the veterans markers and the veterans areas, but it looks terrific.
We did not do that. It was, some lady came in, I don't remember her name, her card's at Greenwood, and when they first came in, they were just going to clean the markers. Next thing I know, they're cutting around the markers. And I made a comment after they left World War II. I said, you know, that's fine what you're doing, but some of them, they're out 6 inches away from the marker. And they went down to the base of the marker, which is almost to the point where we can't cut. So I had mentioned it to her, to the group she was with. That day at lunch, they went to lunch. I haven't seen them back.
Well, just driving by, it
If you get out and
looks
look,
nice.
some of those, I just hope nobody ever steps in one, because you will twist an ankle or something like that if you're not careful. But our people have always taken, if they have time in the spring or in the fall, we have always trimmed all the government markers. It's about every 2 to 3 years that we trim all those markers up at Greenwood.
Who were these people?
They were with some kind of group to clean markers in the cemeteries for veterans. I've got her card up at Greenwood.
You're not, our insurance doesn't cover having.
It does for that.
For that, it does.
Yep,
Okay.
I checked into it, it does for that.
I appreciate you clarifying that for me. Okay, I got something I want to ask you about this sun-up, sun-down business. Are these locks going to automatically lock at a particular time and open at a particular time?
For
The
what?
mausoleum?
Nope, it will be open, the gentleman will open it in the morning at 8, and then before they leave at night, they will close it at 3.
Okay.
And there's no automatic locks.
Because I can feature a certain individual who says he comes very early in the morning,
It won't be open.
being there and not being able to get in, so.
But if he has a key, he'll be able to, right? Yeah, so there's,
Well, we'll find out. That'll be a problem, I'm sure. Okay, I got several things I want to talk about under new business. I want to talk about the locks and alarm codes at the offices, about changing them with the theft that we have. Have you given that any thought, or
That, it's whatever I'm directed to do, I will have to do it.
what's the board think? You think that'd be a good idea to do? Change the locks and change the alarm codes so that we don't have somebody wandering out there who may have a key and may have previously had a key and gets into the office.
Yes.
after this
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, all right, then Mark, we direct you to do that. Also, the next thing is related to that. Were you able to get a locksmith out to take a look at the safe and the vault?
I've got 2 names, but I haven't had anybody.
Okay, to retrieve the combinations. This is the deal. I think that, and I want to put this out to the board, this is not my decision, but I think that if we are unable to retrieve combinations, then I think it behooves us to get a new safe. Okay, it doesn't have to be the size of the one that you got in there now, yeah, like a lockbox, but something that is secure so that we don't have a repeat of somebody getting in. I doubt it's ever gonna happen again, but, you know, we really need to react. So, does anybody think that's a feasible idea or not?
Yep.
Okay? Okay, Mark, keep that in mind then. All right, there's another thing I wanna let you guys know. I've been naughty, okay? I received an email from, I didn't know from whom, but I guessed, and I now found out. It was from the controller's office. And they wanted to have us adopt an internal control policy and procedure for a variety of things, for gift and donations, for how to handle money in the financial system, and some business rules. I responded to them and I told them that under the ordinance, this body, this board, has exclusive jurisdiction over all aspects of the management of the cemetery. So that if something like this is necessary, I don't mind if they suggest it, but we are the ones that are going to decide what to do, and we're going to adopt the policy. And so that's where we're at right now. We can do it one of two ways. I could draft something, or we can assign it to a committee after we determine who's going to be on what committee, and they can draft something. And basically, I don't think some of these things are necessary. For example, the cemetery program gift and donation funds, the ordinance extensively goes through the procedures for that. There is no, we can't top that. This is our law here. So we have to follow this, and we can't make any changes to it. So that's one thing. And these other things, I have to take a look at it, and the board can take a look at it and see what their thoughts are. And I would prefer also that you and Roxanne look at it and tell us what you think. That brings to mind the subject of the ordinance. I don't know, does anybody have a copy of the ordinance? Because you really need to know about it. You really need to know what you're supposed to do. I have a copy
Is it posted
here.
somewhere? Is it on this?
You can go to the clerk's office, or Roxanne, you can make copies. Do you have a copy of it?
Yes.
Yeah, you can make copies, and then Mark will see that it goes to you guys. Bring it to the next meeting, perhaps. Okay. You really have to know it, because that's the Bible. That's what we do. Nobody else gets involved. And when I was talking earlier about the mayor being called about a problem, I don't think you were here at the time. The mayor was called about a problem because somebody was trying to reach Swan Lake and wasn't able to, and had a crisis. They wanted to change a funeral from this week to next week. And instead of contacting me, which is the logical thing to do, right?
How would they have known though?
They called the clerk's office. The clerk's office could give
The clerk
that.
should have
Right.
contacted.
Instead of doing that, the clerk's office contacted the city council and the mayor. Okay, and of course, that didn't resolve it because they don't know what's going on. So, like I say, I've been having meltdowns after meltdowns about this. And that's why it's important that we all understand that we're the ones, nobody else, okay? And when Mr. Johns went to the mayor, former mayor, current mayor, the city council, and everybody else, that was improper. Because we're the only ones. They have no say-so in what it goes into managing this. You take a look at that, and I think it'll be important for all of us to understand.
Concerning the other matter, I don't know what you call it.
This thing
Yeah,
here,
does the state, do we follow state guidelines too? Is that in the ordinance, or
well,
don't they check on our money?
I'm glad you mentioned that. These ordinances are based on state law. Okay, the ordinance. If you go to the statute, you find out almost word for word it's going to be the same as what's in our ordinance. That's how we decide to adopt, because the ordinance is the guideline. So, but as far as we're concerned, the ordinance is what we look at. The ordinance number is 2251. It looks like here, and there is a subsequent ordinance that was passed. Number 2678. 2678, all it did was, in the original ordinance, we were called the Board of Cemetery, what is it here? Regents, yeah, the cemetery regents. And when they went back a few months after they passed this, well, actually a couple of years later, they changed it, and we are, as trustees and not regents. So that was what that was about. That's the only thing that is covered in that amendment. Let's see, I have a question. When I was going over the ordinance, I see that there is a provision for bonding of employees that handle money. And my question was, did we bond our part-time fill-in.
All of our employees that handle the money are bonded directly, where anybody who's hired is bonded.
But I mean, this, you know who I'm talking about, okay, was she bonded?
Yeah.
Okay,
She would be under that.
And she's under the general insurance clause of our insurance.
okay.
Anybody that comes
And you did report
in.
to the insurance
Yes, I did.
company. That's good. That's all I wanted. I'm glad you're on it, and I'm just kind of playing catch-up here.
Can I have you sign that, please?
You talked about raises,
Get it?
Steve?
Thank you.
You know, there's always the possibility that this board could vote itself a raise. I'm not suggesting that we do that, but I just want to put you on notice that if somebody wanted to think about it, it would have to go into the budget now, wouldn't it? Yeah. So this
Actually, it
would-
probably would have gone into the budget prior to now,
Okay.
because it's already been
What would you
designated for
do?
next
You
year.
have to do it next year then, but just, you know, I'm just pointing out that there is that thing. I think you have some comments. Renee, do you not? We're down to board comments. Do you want to make some comments?
About the
Yeah.
Facebook. I'm on Facebook, you know, I don't know if anybody gets on there, but there was so
I
many
saw that.
people making comments about the cemetery, which I disagreed with, and I didn't know if I was supposed to make a comment about it, but I think next time I will. I thought the cemetery looked really great. Going around Greenwood, Barker Ave, Tilden, I just didn't understand what they were talking about. They were claiming that it was so unkept and it was the worst they've ever seen it, and what's going on, who manages the cemetery, they were saying all this stuff. And the only thing that I had noticed was the trimming along Jackson wasn't complete, and today I went by there, it was complete. It looked just as manicured as the rest of the cemetery. I think it's being so well kept, I just don't know what
Was
these
it-
people are thinking.
Maybe, I mean, I saw that, maybe that was right before, you said that rain and delay and, you know, maybe it was right before that.
This was like 2 days ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I thought it was an older, are you sure?
yeah.
Sometimes older posts show up.
Yeah, they
again.
should blame, no, this was a newer one.
Oh.
I sent them to, I mean, I've got copies of
Yeah,
it.
you sent it to me.
Yeah.
On a
You can check the
positive-
date again.
A positive note, though, there were two
Yes.
outstanding comments. One said that they walk nearly every day in Greenwood, and that it looks good, and it's, you know, the workers are very friendly, you know, nice comments like that. The other was someone who said that they had been out to Swan Lake and purchased a plot just recently, 2 weeks ago or something of that sort, and also that Swan Lake looked good too. So, you know, I'm glad that we have somebody who maybe corrected what was said. Any other board comments? You guys are going to sleep. This is a longer meeting than normal.
It's
Must because you talked a lot.
I did all the talking, you're right. Okay, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And just for your information, when you all get copies of the ordinance, if you want to sit down and talk about it, go through, I'll tell you, there's several provisions in there that I'll stand out and are very important, and I point them out to you if you wish, but you don't have to do that. If you're interested in doing that, I'll be glad to go over with everybody.